let's start things out on topic if we could. I'm sure it'll go multiple directions, but what were your roles in bringing the Wizarding World to life? Patrick, we'll start at the end.
What involves with bringing it to life? Blood, sweat, and tears. I think the most important thing that I can impart, if I can impart anything, is that when you work on anything creative having to do with the saga surrounding Harry Potter, is that you want to get it right. You want to pay homage and pay honor to it. So as far as starting anything, the first place you start with is what's best for the story. What's going to be the best telling, or what's going to be the best shading to this amazing world that's already been created. That obviously everybody here loves, and we want to do our best to bring to life.
What did you do? What did you do with the land?
What did I do? I was the show director and the writer for all of the shows and stage stuff. So, yeah. So for Madame Malkin's robes, we did the mirror. For the Wizarding Wireless Network, we did all the voiceover work in that. The Night Bus Conductor, Shrunken Head, Busker, both the stage shows, and the Goblin. So, big task, but it was a lot of fun.
Michael?
Yeah, I'm Director of Creative Development for Universal Orlando, so I'm the guy that gets to... Thank you. I'm the guy who gets to lead the teams, Patrick, and all of the amazing artists and scenic designers and prop makers and all the costume designers, everybody that was involved in the process of bringing all of the entertainment content to life, not only in Diagon Alley, but also in our Hogsmeade Park as well. The Frog Choir and the Tri-Wizard Spirit Rally way back. So in total, Patrick and I have been involved with the Wizarding World since 2006, 2007, bringing Hogsmeade to life, and then all of the entertainment content you see now in the amazing Diagon Alley.
Alan.
Hey guys, hello, welcome to Orlando Staying. Thank you all for coming. My name's Alan. I was the supervising art director for Warner Brothers. And I was very lucky to work with these great guys to help translate the films into a theme park, into an entertainment world where you can actually come and experience it, because my career is all about being film set design, working with an amazing team in London and also working with an amazing team here in Florida, many of them standing over here to the left with their arms up. Film sets are a place you see only in a theatre or on a DVD. You can't actually experience them. So to learn the art of translating those film sets into a real three-dimensional environment has been an amazing journey. My job has been to help Warner Brothers and Universal work together and to translate the amazing films into the places you can now visit. Hogsmeade, Hogwarts and Diagon Alley. And I'm sure you'll say they're amazing places. We love creating them. I think you all love them. I've spoken to many of you the last few days. It's fabulous in there. It's a great world. And thank you again for coming.
Thank you, Alan, as well. Now, here's a question for everybody. What should the entertainment show content bring to the Wizarding World? Talk about the entertainment that's involved.
Obviously, Alan and the amazing Universal creative team built this vivid world in real life with Diagon Alley and Hogsmeade, and we come in kind of later into the game after the environments have been established, where we try and kind of fit into what's been created, these amazing worlds that Alan and the team created. And entertainment should really, not only is the environment bringing that world to life, but we want to also be able to bring a personal aspect to the world. And entertainment, we're able to do that. Like, you know, for Hogsmeade, the Frog Choir, music is so essential in the films. John Williams' amazing score and the other composers that have been, you know, doing all the amazing scores for all the Harry Potter films. Music is essential to those movies, so we wanted to figure out a way to bring that to the land. And obviously, like in Azkaban, there was already a scene kind of pre-built that had music. A choir that had these frogs that provided all the bass notes. And our job is to try and, you know, sift through all of this amazing content and find these kernels that we can take away and expand upon. Frog Choir being a perfect example, saying, okay, we want to create a show where we can have a choir with frogs that actually sing for our guests 365 days a year. Same with Tri-Wizard Spirit Rally. How can we show that aspect of Goblet of Fire? And also for the guests that, because believe it or not, there are people that come to the parks that may have never seen a Harry Potter film.
No.
Or there may be people out here who have never seen a Harry Potter movie. Maybe. I doubt it. But we have to be able to present an entertainment experience that is that bridges the gaps, that can show that the Wizarding World is far larger than just Hogsmeade. you know, the Bobaton Academy of Magic and the Durmstrang Institute. These are schools that exist outside of the wizarding world that we've created here. So that was a great opportunity to do that. So entertainment in a nutshell, really, we have a chance to expand on the content, to provide a personal relationship with the guest. I mean, you know, Diagon Alley, look at the Celestina Warbeck show. I mean, that is really a dynamite show, and there's so many people involved with how that got created. But to be able to provide that personal experience, and music is, I think, one of the most, the easiest ways to be able to interact with an audience.
I would completely agree, and if you spend any time in Diagon, which I'm sure all of you have, the Beedle the Bard show has, it has an underscoring from the films throughout the entire telling of those tales, both in the introductory section where the characters are just being themselves, as well as when they launch into the tales. And it's very important that that music is there, because without that music, so crafted by John Williams, it wouldn't have a payoff. It just wouldn't. Those tales would not go where they go without having that backing.
And go back a little bit, that we kind of fit ourselves into the world that has been created in the films that Alan helped bring to life in the movies, but also here in the parks. You know, we're a piece of that, but really we rely on Alan and his vision, and the team that he takes on to really give us that home.
And it's been an amazing journey to, as I say, start back in 2006, 2007, when the Hogsmeade and Hogwarts were conceived, and the Universal teams and Warner Brothers UK teams joined together to create the design that you see now that is Hogsmeade and Hogwarts. We spent a lot of time trying to make the most immersive word. That's a theme park word, but it became our global word to make the experience as personal as possible. So we used the British film teams, the Orlando design teams, we all joined together. A large team travelled to London. They were immersed with the filmmaking as the final films are being made. So we wanted them to be as seamless as possible, so that when you read the books, when you watch the films, and when you visit the park, it's all the same experience. At that time I met Michael and Patrick, and we really started joining forces to develop these concepts. How do we go beyond the words, the pictures you form in your mind, and make that a real experience? And I think it's been an amazing collaboration. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's awesome to be here with you.
Exactly.
Thank you.
And no, really, thank you, and thank all of you out there. Now I think you have a couple of slides that we can kind of advance to and talk about some concepts. There's First Brother, and of course this is an example of some of the designs and the detail that went into that. Just explain a little bit about that process.
Well, Beedle the Bard was a very interesting journey. Beedle was actually a concept that we had come up with for Hogsmeade originally. And it wasn't based on Beedle the Bard. It was kind of the concept of a troupe of storytellers that would be able to kind of tell some of the stories that exist within the wizarding world. And at that time, and we presented, I think, 15 to 20 concepts back in 2007 of just entertainment concepts. And this one bubbled to the surface a bit, and then it just didn't feel right for Hogsmeade, because there was nothing in the fiction that supported the idea that there is a troupe, A, that even exists, that tells these stories, and whether or not they were able to tell intimate stories about Harry Potter and Hermione and Ron, because if we're, as fans, can watch these movies and are very intimate with those relationships, but the people of the wizarding world, not necessarily. They're not there when Harry, Ron, and Hermione battle the troll in the bathroom. They weren't there for that. They may have heard it kind of hearsay. So we can't really attach to something like that. We have to attach to things that are more global, more recognizably known in the wizarding world. That concept fell off the table. That is until J.K. Rowling wrote Tales of Beedle the Bard.
Absolutely. One of the wonderful things about that book is a small, tiny passage at the beginning of Fountain of Fair Fortune's description by Albus Dumbledore, when it talks about the Wizarding Academy of Dramatic Arts. Professor Beery broke away as well after the horrible rendition of Fountain at Hogwarts, which means that Hogwarts never put another play on, and we kind of used that as the catalyst, the seed, for the entire justification for the WADA troupe to be out in Diagon Alley. I remember we were talking to Warner Brothers, and we were talking to the Boy Partnership, and they just couldn't get past the fact that there was this roaming troupe. There was this roaming troupe out there, and they had no basis for inside the fiction. And one of the things that you have to do when you do something like this is not only make it immersive and personal, but it has to live up to the saga and live within that world. There's no such thing as lateral content, which is a huge thing with us. And so I remember the conference call we were on when they said, yeah, but there's no basis for this, and we said, but there's this passage about the Wizarding Academy of Dramatic Arts, and immediately the door opened and we were able to dive into the world and fit ourselves into this entire saga. As far as the puppets are concerned, when you watch the show, you can see that the puppets are the puppets from 7.1. They are the puppets from the film. We had the opportunity and the great fortune to have Warner Brothers send us all of the concept drawings throughout the course of the building of movie 7 Part 1 and give us all of the pictures of the puppets for us to use as the basis for the live puppetry that you now see in Diagon Alley. And it was fun to then take those pictures and send them back to them and say, this is what we're doing. It was a lot of fun.
And the task is, too, with anything that we're creating, is how can we tell the story, any of the stories, Beedle, being the example here, is how can we tell them differently? How can we be very visual? Currently, in our theme parks, we really don't have anything that is a puppet-based show. So right away, we felt this was really an avenue we should go down, because it is so different from anything else we currently have at Universal Orlando. And to be able to tell something very intimate. That's the other thing that's great about your design of Diagon, is it is a very intimate location. It has a sophistication to it, but still an area of commerce.
I think we tried to bring a scale, a very European scale to Diagon that's very intimate, as you say, that the spaces are tight, they're compressive, they're very emotional, and the show space where your shows are performed is very typical of what you find in England or London, in that kind of old London Victorian market where these impromptu street performers would appear. But it's got the layer of Harry Potter where it's a little bit more magical, a little bit more interesting, and I think you guys did an amazing job of understanding those film concepts and bringing them to life, because at that point your design was almost influencing the film as well, and we were collaborating with each other. So it was a very symbiotic relationship where we were all traveling in the same direction, which is the first time I've ever known that to happen.
So as far as the environment was concerned for the puppets and the show, how did the design work out for that particular environment?
Well, we worked very closely with Universal Creative to, there's a lot of science behind theme park design. There's the flow of people, where people can hang out, where they can get food, all the basics. But then you want to create spaces that you can be entertained in, places you can hang out. You also want to create places that are just like if you went on a vacation to a lovely old town. Where can I go? Where can I just sit and eat some food and enjoy and relax? I do that in Diagon Alley all the time. I was there all day yesterday, hanging around in the dark corners, watching people like I would when I go on vacation. And it was fascinating to watch people really living the place, watching your shows, really enjoying it, and then going to the hopping pot maybe for a pint of ale or some food, and then going around to Ollivander's to get their wand fitting. The place felt absolutely real, and your shows are integral to that because they bring that layer of reality to the whole experience of Diagon Alley.
And telling the environment was so vivid, we knew we had to do the same sort of detail in the puppets and how they were created. We worked with an amazing puppeteer, creator named Michael Curry. If you've seen the Olympics opening ceremony in the last 15, 20 years, you've seen some of his work. He's an amazing individual, has an amazing group of people that create really dynamic puppets and puppetry. So we worked with him and collaborated to create the puppets for Diagon Alley, for Beedle the Bard. And the slide we have up right now, this was some of the concept of some of those puppets. These were videos that we would send back and forth over months and months and months, trying to figure out the best way for these puppets to maneuver, knowing that not only do they have to look like the film, but also need to be ergonomically designed so that a performer can use them 365 a year, 5 to 7 shows a day. We're making sure that our performers are comfortable with the puppets and that they're at a weight and a puppeteering level that is realistic.
And then what you're seeing right here is Dan Luce. He works for Michael Curry Designs. He was the chief creator of all of the puppets, and also he came for an intensive workshop with all of the actors as they prepared to put the show on, so that all of them could not only learn to breathe with their puppets, but also that the puppets would be the focus of the stories. I don't know about you, but when I go to watch that show, as many times as I've seen it, as soon as they start telling the tale, the actors disappear, and it's the best thing that it's the best feeling in the world to know that I was honored to be a part of it, that I was allowed to be a part of it, because once you see this beautiful set that's been given to us, this beautiful backdrop of this real world environment that's just a little bit fantastic, which is what the Wizarding World is, and then you have these puppets which just pop off of the characters.
Puppets become alive, they're their own characters, they really are. I saw the exact same thing yesterday. Watching the puppets, I was absolutely engrossed in their caricature faces, their drama, their handmade look. they really are rather beautiful, and Curry did an amazing job.
And the best thing about it is we're coming at this because, as with everything that we create, we're fans of this first. And we put out there what we would think a fan would want to see. And that's really important as the first step in anyone that works on this project, is we're fans of this brand and really want to put it in the best light possible and in a fashion that you can't see anywhere else. And I know, Alan, you were talking about the environment. There's a slide here that's the white model.
Yeah, this is the set design we created in London early on to form the size of the space, and you see the characters there, the little black cutout figures. We always work in a very true architectural sense. We want to make it feel that the place is absolutely real. We're not going to exaggerate or create this modern environment. This has to feel like old London, and I think that space feels very natural. It's a natural setting. It's a very nice background. It's very much a focal point under the Carpet Market, and it really does feel rather special.
And this was designed and created by Ray Kine.
Ray Kine,
who's in the audience. He's right over there. He put that thing together, and this was a great tool for us to be able to actually block the show Beedle before the stage was even built. It was a way for Patrick and the team to be able to kind of foresee what this show could be, even using some of the props that are on stage right now. And those are actually performers from our Frog Choir way back, and we used as cutouts. Those aren't the costumes that are out there now. So
little interesting segue is the technology we use is very simple. It's cardboard. It's very basic. To any of you aspiring designers out there, any material works for design. You can create these forms and designs with anything. So don't be worried about having to use computers. We use those as well. We use all types of technology, but at the end of the day, you're creating a design which can be realized through any material. So this is a very good example of that.
And I have a question for you, Alan, and then it's something that you really brought to us in the creation of the shows. The vision of the films, and for Diagon Alley, what was it? What makes it special and unique to the Wizarding World compared to other environments in the Wizarding World?
I think it's a very rigorous attention to detail. It's very real. Everything feels absolutely real, but there's a heightened reality. That's a term that Stuart Craig coined many years ago, where it feels natural, just like any street, but there's something extra about it. The extra lean of the buildings, the extra colours, Mina Lima's graphic designs. There's an extra layer of an extra reality, which all these fantastic layerings of teams together creates this very special environment, very unique. Your show has the same feel, whereas there's that extra degree more in the Harry Potter vein, and that Harry Potter draws that extra layer out of all of us.
There he is. Yeah. Well, speaking of characters and everything that had gone into those, there's one particular one that we'd like to kind of expand on. Talk to us about Celestina and how she became from a single line into your reality.
Well, I mean, Mike touched on a little bit earlier with the fact that music is so integral into the Wizarding world and the telling of the stories. And so Celestina, just from that one small little sentence in book 2 that we glommed onto and wanted to bridge that and make her more.
We wanted to find out more about her.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was fascinating during the course of creating what became Celestina and the Banshees, her background vocalists. We got thrown little tidbits here and there from JK's camp that, oh well, she had in her mind Shirley Bassey, which is an amazing reference for those of you that are jazz vocalist fans out there. But then we wanted to put not only Shirley Bassey, but we wanted it to be a little Lena Horne, and we wanted it to be a little bit Bette Midler, and we wanted her to have this weight and this diva-esque quality to her, so that she could provide a counterpoint, if you will, to the Beedle experience. Because as intimate as Beedle is, and as wonderful as those stories are, they're dark. Beedle the Bard does not pull punches. He tells dark stories, and the Wizarding World children that have grown up hearing those stories just accept it, as if our children accept Grimm's fairy tales, or they accept Aesop, which are also really dark if you go back and read them. So we wanted to have a counterpoint with Celestina where she's light and bubbly and fun, and she's got this attitude about her that is it's really second to none. It's a lot of fun to go out there and just watch her and listen to her.
And J.K. had supplied us with song titles, and then and there were also tidbits of song lyrics that had been created throughout the years. Some are featured in the book. Others were part of, when the films first came out, there was a Harry Potter fan club that would deliver Daily Prophet newsletters to fan club members. And some of the articles in those newsletters had mentions of Celestina Warbeck in them, and mentioned a title or a lyric. So we kind of had this piecemeal version of some of these songs. And the titles are out of this world, like Beat Back Those Bludgers Boys and Chuck That Quaffle Here. That's a song title. Yeah, so we actually employed two amazing songwriters, Michael Weiner and Alan Zachary. They did a Broadway show called First Date. Two very brilliant guys that we took them through the entire Wizarding World process and explained everything we knew about Celestina and all the information that we'd received from Warner Brothers and from TVP and from J.K. herself about who she is. And they went to town in a very small amount of time. I think we had a 3-week turnaround for all 4 of those songs to be created. Not only lyrics, but music in 3 weeks. Yeah, it was a really fast turnaround, but these two guys really nailed it. And the one thing we wanted to make sure is that the songs didn't kind of play to the Wizarding world, that if someone heard them, they sound like they would be songs that could exist anywhere. That not only do they exist in the Wizarding world, but they're great songs first. That was really important in the creation of that music.
Yeah, it was really funny because when we met with Alan and Michael, both self-proclaimed Harry Potter fans, and it was really fun because as soon as they said that, we were like, okay, and we were completely on a shorthand with them. It needs to be this, it needs to be this, it needs to be this, and by the time they left that, the first 3-hour meeting, they already had ideas. They're like, okay, we're going to do this melody, and we're going to do this, and we're going to mix it up with this, and then at the end of that 3-week period, they not only had a fully orchestrated version of all of the music, but also had vocalists from New York having already sung it, and it was not done, but it was done. It was fantastic.
It really came together quickly because it was the last show we actually created for the land. We started concept on that show in February of the same year that the land opened. So it was an incredibly short turnaround.
Meanwhile, the white model that you saw earlier was actually created in October, November, and we had a workshop in December of the year before we opened. So to give you a sense of the timeline.
Very cool. So much information. Thank you so much. Let's give them a big round of applause. And I think if you guys are okay with it, we'll turn it over.